Hey everyone, welcome to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, the dad, and if you're familiar with this show, it's usually a dad with his three sons. This is not my son. I'll tell you who this guy is in a second, but typically it is myself, the dad, John Gonzalez, and my three sons, Zach, Ty, and Zane. A little bit about the show. It is talking about our memories of baseball and our baseball family, but also talking about what's happening in today's current game. So if you listen to former episodes or prior episodes, we'll talk to coaches, players, broadcasters, a little bit of everything. We've covered everything from the Little League World Series all the way up to the major leagues. In fact, today we're recording this on the opening day at Comerica Park, Detroit Tigers 2024. Paul, you've never been to opening day at Comerica. We'll talk about that in a second. But that's what we do here on Big League Dreaming, the podcast. So we're going to kind of get going before we get down to the game. We won't, what happens on opening day is you usually have a few beverages with friends, and we already started this morning. So we want to get this podcast in before we get too, what's a good way to put it?
Into it.
Into it, yes. So thanks to Ty, Zach, and Zane, my sons. They encouraged me to do this podcast, even with our little roundtable here, because Zach did this a couple weeks ago, or I think it was last week, with his friends from Mariners Dumb. His Seattle fans, because Zach is a Seattle Mariners fan. He's the oldest son. He's based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ty is the middle son. He's a Mets fan. Yes, we split with you guys in the doubleheader yesterday. And he is based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And son number 3 is Zane Gonzalez. He's the Red Sox fan, and he is based in South Bend, Indiana. He's still coaching baseball, so you don't see a lot of him in the spring in our spring podcast because he's busy coaching right now. I think they have a game today. Yes, today or tomorrow. They're playing, I believe, at home. So anyway, let's introduce our guest here before we head down to Comerica Park. We'll send some Comerica Park videos and tweets and so forth on social media. So you can check us out at Big League Dreaming, the podcast, BLD, POD on X and wherever you get your podcast. All right, so Paul, you are a lifelong Tigers fan, right?
I am a lifelong Tigers fan. I remember when I was about 6 going to my very first game with my neighbors. We were living in Lansing, Michigan. I went with my neighbor and his dad and his grandpa, and we got Cokes with the cellophane wrap over the top of it and hot dogs, and it was the old Tiger Stadium on the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, and I still remember it to this day like it happened yesterday.
Isn't that incredible how those baseball memories are like that? And today, like I said, opening day, more memories to be made today. But that first game you go to at Tiger Stadium, I remember mine as well. I was probably 9 or 10 years old at Tiger Stadium. We were playing the Oakland A's. Actually, the first game we went to was right now. So we got tickets to the doubleheader against Oakland, and we stayed for both games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I believe the Tigers won both games, too.
Wow,
this was the Reggie Jackson team.
Oh, that's fantastic. One of my best memories when I was in college in 1984, my roommate and I drove over, and he had gotten tickets when we won the pennant.
Wow.
And we were there for that game. Wow. It was electric. I think we had the seats that were blocked. I think we sat behind one of the old beams. But I tell you what, it was. We drove over from East Lansing. We watched the game. We had a few beverages, and I remember that one extremely well. It was just an amazing day.
Well, 84 was the last time the Detroit Tigers won the World Series. They've been in the World Series since then, but now been able to win again. That was a magical year in 1984. Obviously, I was still in college, so it was a great time to be in college and go to the parties during that whole stretch. But Paul is the executive director, the director of the Gaylord Tourism Bureau in Gaylord, Michigan. If you get a chance, folks, go up there. It's a beautiful town. It's God's country, right?
It is absolutely gorgeous. The snow is all melted off, and the weather's finally turning around. And I was so excited to come down to the home opener. We made a pact this winter with some friends, and it was on my bucket list. I've never been to a home opener. I've taken the afternoon off and gone to bars with friends. That's been a little bit of a tradition, but actually being here, I said, I really want to do this. And you and some other good friends made this happen. So this is, we got up early to come down to the game, and I am just so excited to be in Detroit, downtown Detroit of Comerica today. I can't wait.
We are at a loft apartment by another good friend, Kristen. So thank you, Kristen, for letting us use your little apartment here. It's not little, it's beautiful, a gorgeous apartment. It's within walking distance, Comerica.
Oh, when we pulled up in front of the apartment, you can see the Comerica sign, and my adrenaline got flowing already. I brought my two kids down. I have two children. My daughter Abby, since it's a family-based show, my daughter Abby is in the military. She's a staff sergeant. She's a loadmaster on a C-17
Wow.
out in Seattle. And my son Timmy is also in the Air Force. He is electric power production, and he's on his way back from Qatar. He was deployed. But the first time I brought them to Tiger Stadium, I'm getting chills up my spine here. I wanted to always bring them. I'm in the travel business, and we've got to travel around quite a bit.
Right.
But I said, I've never taken them to Michigan's biggest city. And we stayed at the Renaissance.
Wow.
We brought a friend of theirs with us. We went to the game, and the Tigers won in the bottom of the ninth on a walk-off grand slam home run in the bottom of the ninth. And the friend that was with us had never ridden in a taxi cab. And I said, well, we are taking a taxi back to the Renaissance. We stood in the queue. We got a taxi, and we had a lovely woman from Detroit that absolutely loved the city. And she treated me and my kids and friend like gold. And she wound us giving us a little tour of the city. My kids talk about that to this day, Gonzo. And what an amazing family experience. My kids could tell you everything about that day. I have pictures of us at Tiger Stadium. It was their first time at Comerica, and we just had an amazing time in Detroit. The next day, we went to the Henry Ford Museum, and we went to the IMAX Theater. And we had an amazing time in Detroit, but it was centered around seeing the Tigers in America.
You bring up a good point, Paul, because Detroit is a very underrated city on a national level, right? So if you're watching us from wherever you watch your podcast or around the country, and you're a Tigers fan, or maybe you're new and just curious about the Tigers, you're probably going like, in Detroit? Why would I go there? Trust me, folks, you want to come to Detroit, there's tons to do. The NFL draft's coming up later in April of 2024, and a lot of people are going to see on a national level of what the city is all about. So opening day, the Tigers right now are in first place of the American League Central. I have predicted since late last year.
5-1.
5-1.
Tough split against the Mets, but they're off to a roaring start. A lot of season to go, but it's exciting to see them starting out of the gate that hot.
Well, as you recall, in '84 when they won the World Series, it was that 34-4 start, right? So it's important to get off to a good start. The teams that are in a bad start, let's say the Mets, they're already 1-5. I think they're 1-5 or 1-6.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and so that's a tough road to come back from. The Yankees have gotten off to a good start, and I think a lot of people are going, okay, maybe the Yankees are for real. Last year, they just kind of imploded. The Mets imploded. That's a different story there. The Seattle Mariners are off to a rough start. I know they have high expectations over there. Boston is kind of going to be in the mix there in the American League East. And then I was at the Reds home opener last week in Cincinnati, and they look like a decent team this year. So that should be fun. So the whole season, folks, is going to be fun to watch it all play out. But the Tigers are for real. They're going to win the American League Central is my prediction. And then who knows what happens in the wild card.
They're playing Oakland today.
They are.
And Oakland is 1-6. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
Speaking of Oakland, they're on the news right now because of the fact that in 2025, they're going to be in a different ballpark. So there's a lot going on with Oakland A's. So Oakland A's fans, good luck for the season you're going to have. Who knows what's going to transpire there. Hey, in the production of this, we may get some video heading down to the stadium. For sure when we get to the stadium. So we'll send it off to our producer, Ty, who handles all the production for Big League Dreaming, the podcast. And then you can throw in some sights and sounds of the stadium as Paul and I kind of check this, kind of sign off here in a slow way. So, Paul, if Ty is able to get some of the video as it's showing, what are some of the things you are looking forward to for your first home opener? What are the things you want to see at Comerica Park this year?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the people of Detroit are so crazy about the sports teams. The Lions have come off a great season. There's so much pride in the city of Detroit. But I love coming down here and people, oh, look at that.
Oh, good luck.
Oh, you're
good luck.
Duel there. But people love this city, and I love seeing the people at the pregame parties. Everyone's in a great mood, and I just love seeing the people of Detroit and how excited they are about the team. And I'll tell you what, Detroiters, Michiganders are true fans. We support our teams no matter what. So when they win, it makes it even sweeter. But I love seeing the people and the parties, and everyone's in a good mood. In the high fives, and the city of Detroit, as you mentioned, Gonzo, they're doing amazing things here. My drive into Detroit, I could not believe how clean the freeways were. They've done a lot of improvements down there, and there's so much going on. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how cool the city is. The sun's out today. It's going to be an amazing day.
Well, thank you, Paul, for joining us here on the special edition of Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. Today, Paul is my family. Actually, we've been good friends for a long time. It's good to have him along for the ride. And we're going to have a good time down at the stadium today at Comerica Park. It's a sunny day here. It's going to be chilly, probably in the mid-40s, but we'll handle that. I want to thank our host, Kristen, again, for letting us use her place. Thank you, Kristen. And to let us crack into our fridge for a few beverages. That's been nice, too. We're going to have a great time at the ballpark. Wherever you are, we hope you have a great day as well. And go Tigers.
Go Tigers.